The name Stellenbosch is synonymous with excellence in science and sport. And what better place to combine those two fields than the Department of Sports Science? My name is Heinrich Grobbelaar, the executive head of the department. Although our department is affiliated with the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences at the Tygerberg campus, the department itself and all our activities and programs are based in Kutsenberg in Stellenbosch. And what you see here is the department adjacent to the Marty's Gym, the outside swimming pool, and in fact, everything that you see on this slide is an extension of our classrooms. So the cricket nets, the rugby and soccer fields, the athletics track, the swimming pools, the AstroTurf, the tennis courts, the netball courts. You'll have your classes, the practical component, in these world-class facilities next to the picturesque Stellenbosch Mountains. Scrolling through the Afrikaans slides to give you an overview of our program structure. And it's important to note that we offer a BA program in sports science that resorts under the Faculty of Arts and Social Science. And here you take sports science as one of your majors. And by that I mean you'll have sports science for 3 years. And you will combine it with one of the following modules, which will then be your second major. So you can choose between Afrikaans and Nederlands, English studies, psychology, or geography. The other option is to combine sports science with physiology. That program, the BSc program, falls in the Faculty of Science. Now, the big difference between these two programs does not have so much to do with the sports science component, because that is fairly similar across the two programs. But it has to do with the other major, as well then as supplementary modules that you will take. So for example, in the BSc program, physiology will be a major, but you'll also have chemistry and physics and biochemistry, more your natural science subjects. In the case of the BA program, you choose one of those 4 options there as your second major, and in your second year, you take one of those subjects, again, up to second year level. Now, both of those programs are subject to a selection process, and we are capped. We're only allowed to take 60 students into both the BA program and 60 into the BSc program. So that is then a set program for 3 years. Our department also has a few service learning modules in the Bachelor's of Education program, but that doesn't really speak directly to students who study sports science. However, our affiliation with the Faculty of Education becomes important should you wish to continue after graduating with either the BA or the BSc degree and you want to qualify as a teacher. That program is called the Postgraduate Certificate in Education, which entails 1 year of full-time study. Now we'll see there with a little asterisk is that it is not directly suitable to students who combine sports science and psychology as their 2 majors. The reason being is that you require 2 school subjects, and both sports science and psychology only allows you to teach life orientation in the school curriculum. Now, you can overcome that problem by taking additional subjects over the course of your 3 years, your undergraduate program. So that is one option to which you can articulate after completion of your sports science degree. Now, both the students taking the B.Ed program and the PGCE program can continue to do the Bachelor's of Education honors degree. But a lot of you might be interested in pursuing an honors degree in sports science, and we've got 3 options. So remember, firstly, you've got an option to exit the university with your degree, your undergraduate qualification. You've got the option to continue with a postgraduate certificate in education, or one of these 3 BSc honors programs that we have. Firstly, the biokinetics program, which is 1 year of full-time study, but on completion of that program, you're still supposed to do 1 year of internship before you can register with the Health Professions Council of South Africa as a biokineticist. The second option is the honors program in performance sport. And for example, that is the program that I took, and are specifically focused in the area of sports psychology, which is part of that particular program. We've also got a very exciting program called Kinderkinetics, again for children, working with children with certain motor disabilities or enhancing their motor skills. Now, it's important to note that even though these programs are called Bachelors of Science honors programs, both students coming from the BA program and the BSc program can apply for these programs. Now, we look at your academic performance across the first 3 years at Stellenbosch, as well as non-academic factors. So, for example, leadership, sport involvement, social impact initiatives where you are involved in the community, and additional courses and qualifications that you obtain throughout the course of your studies. Now, from the honors level onwards, all our programs resort under the Faculty of Medicine and Health Science. Now, what makes the honors programs quite unique is that 25% of these programs consist of a research project. So you work in groups to plan, execute, and write up a research study. And if you find that very interesting, you can continue with a master's degree in sports science, an MSc degree, which is then 100% thesis. So you only do research, typically takes 2 years, and you can thereafter continue with a PhD program in sports science, 100% dissertation, which tends to take at least 3 years. So from start at undergraduate level, you've got exit levels at year 3, after year 4, after 6 years, or even after 9 years. So to earn the qualification of a doctorate in sports science, it means that you've studied at least for 9 years. So that's a lot of studying. And over here, you can see the layout of the sports science component. So remember, that's your one major module that you take in year 1, 2, and 3. And you will see here that in a lot of the cases, the BA and the BSc students actually sit in the same classes. Where they don't sit in the same classes, they often have modules. So let's take, for example, first year anatomy. So the BA students take that module in the first semester, and the BSc students take it in the second semester. So the same module, but you don't sit in the same classes. The only real difference on the theoretical aspect of the sports science degree, so you'll count a total of 15 modules on this particular slide, is that the BA students, they take sports psychology in both their first and their third year, whereas the BSc students only take it in their third year, and the BA students also have sport history as a compulsory module in their third year. But this gives you a broad overview of the theoretical aspects that we will cover in this program. And you'll see a combination of social sciences and natural sciences, because remember, after all, we are working with people. We are working with people in an exercise, in a health, and in a performance setting. Now, the program does not only consist of theoretical modules. It's very practically oriented. And as I showed to you earlier, the sport fields, the swimming pools, etc., is an extension of our classroom. And so you will have sport practicals in the first, second, and third year. Some of them are compulsory, others are electives. And depending on your expertise and your own interest, you can then select these particular sports, these sporting codes. Now, in the first year, the whole idea is to get you moving and to really introduce you to what we call the movement vocabulary. So experiencing movements across different sports. And you can obviously take the sports in which you are good, or challenge yourself to learn from sports to which you might not have been exposed to before. And also important is to note that whilst many of our students are athletes, this program is not designed to make you into a better athlete. That might happen as a byproduct of what you are learning, because all of a sudden what you learn in the classroom, on the playing field, in the practical setting, you can apply to your own sport, and through that you might enhance your own performance. But you don't need to be a top level athlete. We won't assess necessarily your ability to perform these activities. But in the second year, the focus shifts slightly more towards coaching. So both individual and team sports, again, certain of them compulsory, others are electives. And then in the third year, we also bring in other components all of a sudden, like dance, games, which is land-based, but then also water activities, so different mediums in which some of these activities happen. In the third year, you also have what we call the lab rotations. So there's 4 cycles at the university, and you'll have modules like kinanthropometry, where you learn how to measure the composition of the body. We will look at functional anatomy, so how the muscles and the joints and everything interact in exercise setting, strength and conditioning, as well as testing, so how to really go out and test the capacity or the ability of athletes in different settings. So that gives you a good overview of the first, second, and third year practical components. And this is the one place where this particular program allows you to choose what you are interested in, whereas the rest of the sports science component is fairly structured depending on which program you choose, and is also in terms of which other major module you choose in the case of the BA program. In the third year, we also have very exciting modules called the Applied Kinesiology Electives. And so for both the first and the second semester, you can then focus on fitness, coaching of a specific sport. So you can choose a primary sport and a secondary sport and apply now both the theory and the practical side of these modules, and everything that you have acquired and learned over the space of 3 years is now applied within this particular setting. The other option is to work in the area of sport and recreation and adapted physical activity for persons with disabilities. So this is really exciting modules, slightly smaller groups of students, depending on who takes which elective. And this is really where you put everything that you do in sports science together. We've got an extremely exciting exchange program. So in the beginning of the third year, annually we select the top 12 third year students, and the universities sponsor a large part of this particular program. We take you to Sweden in January and February, and I've experienced temperatures of up to -20 degrees. And we take you skiing, and you might jump into a frozen lake and learn how to survive. But we expose you to different culture, also different sporting culture, and a totally unique experience, specifically aimed then to invest in our students, who we hope will continue then with postgraduate studies within our department, or they can also continue their studies in the other majors, so whether that's physiology, psychology, geography, etc. And over the past 9 years of this program, 96 of our Stellenbosch University students and 78 of the Swedish students have taken part in this program. So 3 weeks after our return from Sweden, the Swedish students, your friends by then, also come and join in the fun and the sun, which they are in desperate need of, considering the winter and the harsh conditions that they are subject to. So I really look forward to seeing your applications and seeing the selections and welcoming you to the Department of Sports Science in the near future. I thank you for your time. Dankie, inkosi.